Why do we have feelings? First of all, let me thank the person who posed this question and asked for my response. What I'd like to do, like I've done some of the other videos, is for you to think back and imagine a child coming into the world, yourself or your children. And a question I often ask an audience is, when that child comes into the world, can they speak? No, they can't. Can that child make decisions or have formal thought? No, they don't. Can that child feel? Yes, they can. Now, this is really important as we go forward. And in order to understand feelings, we also have to understand that we probably have more hard science research around areas of the brain that are linked to emotional response, more so than we do around some particular thought processes and other phenomena. But what it tells us, the fact that when we come into the world, we come in with an ability to feel, tells us very clearly that feelings are important. Now, often when I ask a group why are feelings important, what are they for, invariably they'll come up with the answers, which is they let us know what's happening inside. Yep. They let us know what's happening around us. They let us know if we're doing things hard or things are difficult or things are enjoyable. And all of those answers are spot on. If I ask often an audience of school kids, are there good or bad feelings? Often I might get a bit of a nod of the head and a response, yes. Isn't sadness a bad feeling, or being frustrated or angry being a bad feeling? And what I indicate to the audience, which is the way the brain works, is that in actual fact there are no good or bad feelings, there are only feelings. And that these feelings are just letting us know if we're where we want to be in the world and things are feeling okay, or that we're not where we want to be, or there are some hard things or difficult things happening to us in the world. But either way, all feelings are doing are letting us know or prompting us to make some changes or to keep going along a path that we want to go on. But if you have an experience where, we'll choose sadness again, where you feel sad and somebody says, don't feel sad, don't be silly, just get on with it, then unfortunately our brain kind of goes, oh no. Because sadness knows it's just trying to let you know you're in a place that doesn't feel right or may not be where you want to be, or fear's letting you know that it doesn't feel safe here, or making you aware of something that doesn't feel protective. But if we don't acknowledge that, we keep pushing it down, then we keep walking along a path which can take us further away from where we want to be. And the further we go along that path, we keep kind of telling ourselves, don't be silly, I shouldn't feel this way, this is just a sign of weakness. And sadness is going, or fear or anxiety or frustration. It's like, oh no, because they're kind of telling me, thinking, Chris, we're just going to have to get stronger until you kind of do recognise us. And if we take sadness, then what happens is you go through, primary school, you get bullied, you kind of don't tell people, you go into high school, you think, well, what's the point of telling people, this feels too hard, and nobody will listen anyway, and it's just a sign of my weakness, and there's nothing anybody can do about it, and I don't even know why I bother, I'm getting out of bed anyway. And what we do as professionals, or have done, is we just group that phenomena, that intense experience of that sadness, and we give it a name, depression. But it starts from a particular point way back. And if we have particular vulnerabilities in terms of depression running in our family, or exposed to traumatic events or really disadvantaged kind of environment, then it can markedly impact on how intense that sadness feels. But probably one of the greatest influence factors is what we tell ourselves about that emotion. And if we suggest that it's a weakness or something to not express, then that has the greatest impact in leading into something like depression, or what's reasonable anxiety of moving into something that we call an anxiety disorder. The great benefit of this, obviously, is that we know that if we're able to address those feelings or those intense feelings much earlier, and then support a person onto a path that feels more solid and happy in where they want to be, then we potentially reduce the likelihood of going on to develop what we call a mental health condition. Remember how I said that we come into the world with an ability to feel? Sadly, when we come into the world, we don't come with an ability to make sense or organise these feelings. In fact, this comes from the people around us, or some external structures of other people, other groups, schools, sporting groups, to help us make sense of these feelings. And then that allows us to understand the feelings, deal with them in a helpful way, and then kind of get on with life. There's a link on the website to the Circle of Security International. This particular group does a wonderful job of explaining the importance of organising feelings and how to make sense and map those feelings. But what it means is we need people around us who are able to stay with us around our emotional responses, help us make sense of them, and recognise that those feelings are not just, but probably the greatest mechanism we have in terms of ensuring that we're feeling safe, we're feeling steady, that we're feeling happy. A couple of key points to take away. One would be there are no good or bad feelings. Only thinking makes it so. So a second point is that if you feel it, it's important. But sometimes we may need other people to help us make sense of that feeling and to help us regulate that feeling. If you're feeling, or if you have feelings which are so distressing that put you in a position where you feel so unhappy, or where you feel like this isn't where you want to be, then it's important that you find those people, those connections, those services which allow you to make sense of those emotions. Many of the psychological conditions that people develop can be linked to either a disorganisation of these feelings or a dysregulation of these feelings, where they really start to impact on how they interact with the world and how they behave, and ultimately steer a person away from what they want to achieve. So building that support, that safety net, which allows you to feel that you have control over and able to regulate your emotional experience, is incredibly important. Please check out some of the links on the webpage, and I hope you found this helpful. Thank you.